the blood, and really it shows him just like smearing it more. And at one point,
Yeah.
he's even picking up the rag, and you can see, and he doesn't notice, like the character himself, but we notice it because it's right on camera, that he drops more blood in a different spot. So really he's just like spreading it around. He's barely even cleaning it up. And then it just goes from there. I mean, he puts the body in the back of the seat. I think he puts the rags in the incinerator, I believe.
Yeah.
And we can go from there.
And once again, I love that it's all wordless, and he doesn't like, he's clearly stressed out, but he doesn't like, he very sort of calmly just immediately goes, okay, I got to cover this up. And it great images of him, like his eyes sort of like tracing over the scene of the crime, following it, putting the pieces together that the PI left for him to piece together, and immediately locking the door, turning off the lights, wiping up the blood with the jacket. And yes, they sort of stick with it. It reminds me of the sequence that we talked about when we did our episode on Psycho, that very slow cleanup sequence that is all the more horrifying because of just kind of how mundane it is.
And this one's drawn out even more.
Yeah, this one's drawn out even more. And we literally just sit with this character in the mess as he's trying his best to clean it up, but it's not having, everything goes wrong during this cleanup. I love that. Also, the Four Top song is first introduced in this moment. It's the same old song playing as he's trying to like mundanely clean up the mess, and the blood dripping from the towel and loading the corpse up. But it turns into this really extended sequence that is amazing of him driving the corpse away. He's going to go and bury it, but he sees movement in the backseat of the car, and he like sprints out of the car. He runs out. There's this big ass like red billboard in the back of the frame as he's like kind of running onto the farmland, looking back at his car, being like, holy shit,
no
what's
way
going on?
This got more complicated than it already is.
Exactly. He's in like a complete panic over it, and he sprints away being like, that should get rid of it, right? If I just sprint away like 30 meters away from
the
it.
Problem.
But then he walks his way back to the car, and oh my God, the moment where the dolly pushes in and he can see in the back seat, and he can see the blood in the back seat, but that the door on the opposite side has been opened, and clearly Marty has like gotten out of the car and maybe run away. Yeah. Which then traces into the POV shot of him visually turning around the car and revealing him crawling down the highway. Oh my God. And just the fact that Marty is still fucking alive. Like that's like a really shocking moment of him just like barely alive, crawling in the middle of this Texas highway. And you just watch all the thoughts go through Ray's head. He's like, he's backing up. He's like, am I going to drive away? Am I going to run him over? Like, do I just get the fuck out of here? Like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah. And at a certain point, he also sees headlights coming. So he's just like, what am I like? I can't be shown with a body, like, obviously. Yeah.
So that's a great moment that they totally reuse for Fargo, where the criminals are on the side of the nighttime highway trying to get away with the crime, and they're trying to like drag the body away, and then a passerby like starts driving by, and they're like, how fast they have to like speed up the process.
Yeah, and the Coens add such like filth to this scene by having him, when he hides Marty's body, and at first, before he puts like his whole body over him to cover it, he kind of has him over his shoulder, and Marty just starts vomiting blood all over his right side of his back. Dude. And that's right before the headlights pass, and the trucker passes, and he puts him in the car. But it's just like, as Ray does this, he just gets filthier and bloodier and quite literally puts blood on his hands. Like, Marty is essentially killed twice in this movie. And so both characters, Visser and him, and Visser is more proud of it, of course. Ray really doesn't want to do it, has to kill Marty.
No, well, Ray's experience of it, like, again, like Visser's is so like sudden, and even though it's undignified for Marty, it's still like it's kind of like a cool like murder that he gets to commit. Yeah. And Ray where he just like imposes his power on someone else and gets to like humiliate him. Right. Ray's version is like the pathetic murder, the accidental piling on of detail that is just overwhelming. For him, even though there are some like really cool images, like that incredible image of him walking towards him in the background, dragging the shovel on the highway, like the sound of the shovel on the gravel and everything as he's like crawling in the foreground and the headlights are hitting the lens and everything. Like,
and he contemplates
really incredible.
Hitting him or not.
Well, yeah, because it's such a pathetic sight. You can tell that he's like, I probably just need to put this fucking guy out of his misery.
Yeah, and to be honest, the way he ends up doing it, you could argue is more cruel than actually just smacking him.
He should have bashed his
head.
fucking brains in with the shovel.
Instead, what we get is this incredibly uncomfortable sequence of just a man being buried alive, and you can hear the murmurs just getting lower and lower until finally there's nothing. And what's kind of ironic,
and the sequence is wordless too, which is so sick. Like nothing of it's all like the crickets and the heavy breathing and the trucks and the gurgling as we just like watch him make these logistical decisions to cover this mess up and just double down on it and make it even messier. And yeah, he's literally burying another human alive.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
I think there's like a little sense of irony too when after he buries him alive, he doesn't just leave the pile. He starts to beat the shit out of the pile as if he's packing down the dirt. But in my opinion, the way that he's doing it, there is like an emotional aggression, like as if he's imagining doing it to Marty himself. And I think that it also kind of adds, like, I don't want to call it, I don't know, cowardice or anything like that, but it's another thing where characters can't really like look at the crimes that they're doing. You know, it's like he's beating the dirt down as if he's patting it, but there's just such an aggression to it that it feels like he's also giving it to Marty a little bit, even though he's under the dirt.
Yeah, well, and it also feels a little bit like he really wants it to be over with, like the way that it's been so drawn out, this fucking sequence. Like even when